Kentaro Miura argues that the only things you can expect from life are the betrayal of your closest friends and horrors from the darkest abyss. I discuss this and more on today's episode. Welcome back to Around the Weird, a booktube channel where I talk about all the unusual and out of the ordinary literature that I've found in my travels, and boy howdy do I have a doozy for you. I am continuing to talk about manga from a series that I have been going through quite a bit, probably my biggest exploration of any series that I've done on here. And today's manga is all about people dying violent deaths at the hands of monsters and the greatest betrayal that you can feel from your friends. I am referring to Berserk Volume 13 by Kentaro Miura, which was published around 1996. You can see that it has a parental advisory sticker, and absolutely does it deserve that. Just wait until you see some of the stuff that can be found in here. I probably can't show most of it because YouTube would be unhappy with that. But I can tell you that it is quite horrific. For those who don't know, I've talked about Kentaro Miura on this channel before, so go and read, or go and watch like Volume 1 of Berserk if you want more information on him. If you're on Volume 13, you probably already know about him. So I'll just say he was a manga writer who lived until about 1919, mostly known for writing Berserk, but he did write a couple of other series and has been well regarded for his work. But without further ado, let's talk about Volume 13 of Berserk. I'll do a summary, a lot of analysis, and we'll move on from there. So Volume 13 of Berserk picks up where Volume 12 left off. Griffith made his choice and allied with the forces of hell, or the demons of the planet, and became one of their numbers, much to the sadness of Guts in the Band of the Hawk, who weren't quite sure what was happening there. But at the beginning of this story, we see that the Skeleton King has once again showed up, and he is choosing to fight Zod because possibly he is allied for good. It's a bit unclear. But then the story focuses on the Band of the Hawk and also Rickert, who is sort of outside of this entire thing, watching it from afar. But the Band of the Hawk is getting slaughtered. The numbers are getting killed. They're all trying to save one another, but it's not really possible. Judo ends up saving Casca in one moment, but he gets heavily wounded. And he just says that Casca needs to go on living because she is the leader of the Band of the Hawks now. And at that point, he dies, and Casca is stuck, surrounded by monsters. Guts continues to fight, slaying every demon every which way, trying to get out of this sort of space that they're in, but time seems to stand still. Also trying to make his way to Griffith, but he can't quite find Griffith. Griffith, meanwhile, is transcending, going through a metamorphosis, which I'll talk a little bit more about later, and apparently meeting God or something like that. Again, it's a bit unclear here. And while that is happening, Casca is getting tortured, ripped of her clothes, her naked body just being held aloft by all these demons. Guts sees this and is filled with the deepest sense of rage. The art is really good here. And he proceeds to try to kill all of these demons to get closer to Casca and save her. However, at that point, Griffith reaches his new form, and he turns into Femto, I believe is one of his new names. And in his new sort of wing-granted self, he has wings now, he begins tormenting Guts by using Casca, specifically raping her, I think is the best description of it. It's not good. It's pretty awful. He's sexually trying to please her, which Casca seems into, but again, she can't really consent to it because she's being held still by demons and such. And this is filling Guts with a great sense of rage. He's essentially trying to cut off his own arm because it's trapped in a monster's mouth, and things don't seem to be working out for him because once he escapes, he's held down by the claws of another beast. And at this point, the Skeleton King is still fighting Nosferatu, Nosferatu Zod. The king manages to rescue Guts and Casca in this moment, bringing him sort of out of this time standstill vortex thing, and saying that Rickert needs to take them to safety. Rickert, I think the Skeleton King even gives him a ride, and Rickert proceeds to stash them in a cave so they can heal and whatnot. Guts wakes up a few days later, disoriented and very angry about what has happened. He sees Casca, but Rickert tells him that Casca doesn't know who Guts is anymore, whether that's from the trauma of what she just went through, or maybe Griffith kind of wiping her memory of Guts. It's a bit unclear, but it is deeply sad what has happened with Casca here. Guts is determined to leave the cave, even though Rickard says not to. And as he's running away, he's going through the memories of what happened with the Band of the Hawk and the good times that he had, including with Griffith, which makes the moment all the more sad. A great friendship has been torn apart thanks to a lust for power. Guts continues to run until he finds himself surrounded by ghost demons of some sort. The Skeleton Knight shows up and says he probably shouldn't have left the cave, but he gives Guts a sword, which is a great system. I hope to find a Skeleton Knight who gives me a sword in the near future. The Skeleton Knight just says that the brand that he got from the eclipse is going to make him sort of a magnet for these demon-like creatures, which we saw in the first couple of volumes of this series. The Skeleton Knight just notes that this might be his destiny, to which Guts laughs and it says he doesn't give a shit about destiny. He vows revenge against every single demon, including the Skeleton Knight, that it seems. He's just super angry and kind of bitter, leading to the Guts that we saw in the first couple of volumes as well. We finally understand how he got to this point. And as the story comes to a close, the Skeleton King, the Skeleton Knight, or whatever you want to call him, just notes that Casca is in trouble because she's also a beacon of light that these demons are attracted to. And Guts hops on the Skeleton King's horse in order to get back to Casca, and that's where the story ends there. In terms of analysis, there is quite a bit worth talking about with Volume 13, whereas Volume 12 did a lot of the setup and sort of staging, or setting up the stage for how this bloodbath and this betrayal would go. Volume 13 is that Chekhov's gun where you set up that betrayal and now it has to happen and everyone has to die as a result. It really feels like the Band of the Hawk is no longer a thing that exists. Griffith has thoroughly wrecked everything with his ambition. Everyone feels hurt by Griffith's choice. That's a big theme of this volume. The theme is that of the continued betrayal that was continuing from Volume 12. So yeah, everyone feels hurt, and there's a big old mass slaughter, all because the leader decided he wanted power over friendship, that he wanted power over lifting everyone else up, that he's essentially been using these people this whole time, making them feel like they belonged, that they were worth something, all in an effort to get to the place that he wanted to go, and then he was going to, chop the ladder behind him, and everyone was going to collapse and fall as a result. And everyone's starting to realize what exactly that means and how they're screwed as a result of it. Casca specifically realizes it. Allow me to read you an interesting quote from this. "Why? Is this hell? Did we sin that much? Is this where our blood-stained journey comes to an end? Or is this really the nightmare you wanted?" And that's a brief quote, but it gets at Casca's sense of betrayal, but also trying to understand why Griffith wanted this, why he wanted a nightmare like this, when he previously said he wanted a kingdom. It seemed like a noble thing, and now he's okay with these demons running amok on the earth. It feels like you were lied to, which is exactly what happened. And to make matters worse, Griffith or Femto, a name change to further solidify the betrayal. Griffith is tormenting Guts. He's essentially raping Casca as a means to send a message to Guts about how he can do anything now, and Guts is nothing. All all stemming back from this hurt sense of feeling of betrayal that Guts made Griffith weak, and so now Griffith is going to make Guts weak. That relationship still kind of exists there, but now Griffith is using it to betray Guts and make him hurt even worse. And when Guts finally awakens after the fight, he's running away, and you can see him remembering all the good times. Showing that the betrayal hurt him possibly the greatest, because there's a full panel with the Band of the Hawk, and then below that there's a full panel with Griffith, showing that he was every bit as important as the Band of the Hawk to Guts. So that sense of betrayal is pretty great, and it's also an example of showing, not telling, showing using Guts' memories to kind of amplify that feeling of betrayal. And you would have to ask a question why would a friend do this? If a friend did this to you, how would you feel? And I think the answer, as I said in the previous volume, is that Griffith has always sort of been like this. He's always been willing to betray the people, and been very clear in what he's saying, how he's willing to step on anyone. And if he does that, that simply means that they weren't as ambitious. So if he does that to the Band of the Hawk, that must mean that they didn't really want to win that bad. They didn't really want to see a victory that bad. It's kind of a cynical way of viewing the world, but that's exactly who Griffith is, and you absolutely shouldn't have placed any faith in him. And I love how Miura is kind of highlighting that, how some people can cut you pretty deep, because they, not everyone's necessarily going to betray you in the way Griffith did, if at all, but there are people who are going to be hurting you pretty hard because you thought they were one person and they turned out to be quite another. Another interesting aspect of the story is the metamorphosis that takes place. Griffith transforms into Femto here, becoming a different person. He's transcending, as we see, sort of making a connection to God or some type of higher being, like Nosferatu Zod, who seems to be a godlike being, or even the Skeleton King, or whatever he's called. He's transcending to a higher plane, and we even see him kind of cocooning in this volume before coming out of the shell and transforming into this evil being. And that way, with this metamorphosis, Griffith turns into an evil butterfly, going from an evil caterpillar to an evil butterfly in the process. Very beautiful, but also very dangerous. Miura is also talking about the struggle here. I think Miura believes it's important to fight until you can't. Judo specifically says that to Casca, that you shouldn't give up in this fight and run away, because those demons will catch up with you and kill you. What you should do is keep fighting until you can't, until you're completely exhausted, and then keep on fighting there until you're dead, because you don't want the demons to win. The way that the demons win is if you stop fighting, and give in to their evilness, allow them to just do whatever they want with you. Casca takes that to heart, and she tries to fight, but she gets captured by the demons. But that's especially true of Guts, how he's able to keep slaughtering these demons out of spite and hatred and anger, and that feeling of betrayal. And the demons are in awe of him. They're like, wow, this guy sure can fight, but it's not going to save him in the end. They think that they're kind of underestimating Guts in that sense. Even after the fight is over and Guts wakes up, he swears that he's going to continue fighting. He specifically tells the Skeleton Knight that he's going to continue to fight, that he's going to slaughter all of the demons, presumably even Griffith or Femto, and that it was a mistake to leave him half alive, to only half eat him, as he says, as he says, this is a war, and in war the strongest wins. Going back to the first couple volumes, where we saw a bitter kind of revenge-driven Guts, driven by hatred and a desire to kill all of these demons. And whenever someone gets hurt, he would always say, "Oh, that's you. You're not. This is war. These are demons. If you're not strong enough, get away from me. You deserve to die. It's not my fault." But at the same time, you can also see the fear in his eyes when he's looking at all these people get hurt, because he still he still cares. And as I said in the first couple volumes, I'm like, wow, this guy is bitter and jaded, but it seems like he's personally like distancing himself from the pain. Like it's sort of a protective nihilism where he's like, nothing matters, but he has to believe that, because if anything matters, and that betrayal, that loss that he experienced with the Band of the Hawk, that's going to really hurt him. That's going to take him down to the depths of despair. And so like I was kind of right in my regard, in my assessment there, because that's exactly what Guts is going through. He can't allow himself to feel that pain of betrayal. He can't allow his weakness, or like to let his guard down, because if he does, if he allows himself to feel for other people, this demon infested world is going to destroy him. And so he has to kill them before they can kill him, or he has to kill them before they can kill him. I do have one problem with this particular volume. I do think that Casca's treatment is a bit too much. Like in previous volumes, Casca was nude or something like that, or like they tried to hurt Casca in a way that attacked her femininity and whatnot. And they do that here, but they go, I think Miura goes a little bit too far. Specifically, like Casca is stripped nude, and then Griffith has his way with her and even rapes her. And I will say it's a bit too far, but at the same time, it does match with the overall horror of the story. There's a non-stop parade of monstrosities, horrors from the abyss, and Miura is right to show you everything about them to make it as scary as possible. But at the same time, he doesn't have to keep focusing on Casca's naked body. I believe there's a way to show the horror that's happening to Casca without like having her be raped in this story, without having her like essentially be fridged in a way and used to further develop Guts, who's filled with righteous anger at seeing this. Casca is treated like an actionable character in this story, but here she just used like a sex item, like an object in the battle of the wills between Griffith and Guts. I don't like it. I think it undermines the storytelling, and it feels a little bit too far in terms of the overall horror that you're trying to show. You're going a step beyond, and it drags down the story a little bit. Not enough to sink it, but it just doesn't sit well with me. Anyway, those are my thoughts on Berserk Volume 13 by Kentaro Miura. Once again, another excellent volume, minus that whole treatment of Casca, which is not that great. But I do think that Miura is going on quite the run here with the story that he's telling about Guts, Casca, Griffith, and the demons, and the remnants of the Band of the Hawk. I can't wait to see what he does in Volume 14 now that we're back in the sort of present. What is going to happen when Casca, or when Guts and Griffith meet again? It's probably going to be a devastating battle. I'm not sure if Guts is at a point where he can effectively defeat Griffith now that he's even more powerful, but that remains to be seen. We'll find out what's going to happen with that very soon. But what did you think of this? Let me know in the comments below. Let me know if you think they went too far with what they did with Casca here. Would love to hear from you. Otherwise, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so that more people can find out about Kentaro Miura or the Berserk series if they don't already know about it. And I have a feeling if you made it to Volume 13 here, you probably already know about it, but that's beside the point. And until then, I wish you the best of luck in your weird and demon-infested travels. Farewell.